All right, everybody, welcome into Sports Drive. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get right into it today. Right off the bat, we have WT assistant basketball coach Chris Gove joining us. Coach Gove, thanks so much for taking the time and coming on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Good to be here. Nice to have some attention again. So it's great.
Coach, I do want to talk to you a little bit. Obviously, the season's over. Recruiting kind of picks up a little bit. One of the big names that a lot of people were excited about hearing going to WT was Kemper Jones, obviously a star at Canyon for a number of years. Had a number of schools interested that he was considering, but he decides to go to WT. Just talk to me a little bit about, behind the scenes, just what the conversations were as far as what you saw in his game, what appealed to the coaching staff about the way he plays, and the desire to bring him to West Texas A&M.
Yeah, the one thing Kemper we've gotten to know over the last year or so. He'd come to our camps. We had camps going about a year ago from now. And the thing about him, he's a fantastic young man. He's got a great family with him. And on the court, I mean, you watch us play, and we've been short the last couple of years, and we wanted to make sure we brought in some size with what we were doing this year. And Kemper has got good size to him, and the one thing he can do is he can really shoot the basketball, and I think that's going to transition over into the college game even more for him because he really has a good stroke, and with his size, he'll always be able to get a good legitimate shot off for us. So it's great to have him in the fold. He's got a great family, and hopefully he'll bring some crowd with him also.
And Coach, one of the things about Kemper being at Canyon, obviously, is that appeal that you guys are able to offer. That he had mentioned just playing, basically right down the street from his home, right around where a lot of his friends are. From your perspective, from a recruiting standpoint, how much is that something that you guys think about when you're recruiting these local players, knowing that you might have an edge when it comes to that factor, when it comes to a player's decision.
Yeah, the one thing when they're local is you get to see them a lot more. You can see them when they're good. You can see them actually when they're bad and how they work through things. And that's what we really liked about him. We also have Kieran Elliott from Lubbock, 2 hours away. We got to see quite a bit, and those two actually played against each other, and they're both have big, strong builds to them. But when you can get them close, that's great. But you also have to have guys where, you know what, when they go on the court, they're going to be able to help you win. And that's what I think both Kieran and Kemper right in town here at some point, they're going to help us win a lot of games and keep this tradition going that we've built here the last 9 years or so.
And talk to me a little bit about Kieran, too, just what you guys saw from him and what you feel like he's going to bring to the team.
He's a physically ready to play college basketball right now. He's got a really good build to him. He can get a rebound and dribble the ball up right up the court for us. The one thing, if you watched us play Black Hill State, Joel Scott, who was their best player, he'd get a rebound, he'd dribble it up, and that's something that Kieran can do. And he's physically ready to play down low right now. So we're looking at everybody we bring in, and we also have I'm not sure who's all signed. We can't speak about them until they're actually signed.
Don't say
I
anything
know
that's going to get you
Kieran,
in trouble,
I
Coach.
know Kieran and Kemper are, so I know I can talk about them. I'm not going to break any rules here, but we have some guys with really good size. We also have a 6'11" kid, Harry Evans, signed early from Australia. So we're bringing in some good size, but we still don't want to change how we play. We want guys who can move, and both Kieran, Kemper, and Harry can move. So we might be a little different team than you've seen on the court the last couple of years, but we're still going to play how we play and go up and down the court. Hopefully we're just a little taller at each position with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it seems like you guys have done a very, good job recruiting. Obviously there's a lot that's, unknown. It's the same thing when, the NFL draft just wrapped up. It all depends on player development and how the players develop it, in the system and everything like that. But, just on the surface of it, you talk about bringing in size, and it's funny because it's when you watch, I feel like at least Kemper play is one of the things that stands out is not really the size, it's the skill that he has, it's the the perimeter game that he has, and he talked a little bit even about when I was talking to him after he made the commitment about how you guys play and about the shooting aspect of it and being able to work in the mid range and that being something that appealed to him and in terms of the decision to play. So it's interesting to see you guys put these puzzle pieces together and bring in more size, but you talk about remaining the same. I feel like these guys are just as skilled as anybody you're going to see, and really,
The,
that's the trend of basketball is a lot of these bigger guys staying skilled and becoming more skilled than maybe we saw a decade ago.
right. The one thing we try to do is it's not so much size, and that's important, but you've got to be able to move your feet. And Kieran can really go. Kemper can move. He's gonna spend some time in the weight room, and he's a great kid. He's gonna get his body ready and all set for that. But they both have skill. But if you're slow, slow really doesn't work in this game anymore. So the size they have is great, but these guys can also go up and down the court, and that's what really attracts you to these guys.
Absolutely, Coach Gove. Well, one final question for you, just more of a bigger picture thing on recruiting. Just what stage of the recruiting process would you say you guys are in? And as much as you can, again, without getting in trouble, I don't want you to say anything that's gonna
Yep.
get you in trouble or anything
Yep.
like that. But
Yep.
what is the recruiting process like once the off season starts, and what are the kind of steps and stages you go through, and where are you at now?
It's changed. Got done with my 25th year doing this, and with even within the last 5 years, dealing with COVID and the transfer portal now, it's changed drastically. So, uh, high school kids who are seniors now and they were seniors last year, they really got hurt with COVID because they granted all these college players an extra year. So scholarships and spots on teams were taken by people who actually should have been gone. And that's really affected and hurt the high school kids. Now, this next year, I think, is the last year of people playing. Like Zach Toussaint next year is going to be playing for us. Larry Wise next year for us. That's going to be their 5th year of actually playing. After that, everybody else is only going to have 4 years. So you'll start having more, your rosters are going to be more intact. But with the transfer portal where everybody can play right away, it's almost become a year by year thing where you're developing guys for the long road, but you also don't know if they're going to be back next year. And players transferring and everything, it's just become a normal part of every roster now. So right now we still are looking to add probably 2 more pieces to our team, but when you look at them, we look at them adding for what we have next year, but not also. We're looking at Kieran and Kemper and Harry. These guys, some are going to help a lot next year, some might not. But down the road, we're expecting 2 or 3 years from now that these guys are going to be huge contributors for us, and that's something we let these guys know as players when we recruit them. Where they're at, but it also has become a year-round thing where even if we have our full team right now set in a month, we're still going to be recruiting, looking for people just in case something happens. And you always have to be ready. You watch everything, but it's become a year-round process keeping your roster intact right now.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach Gove. We appreciate you stopping by as always.
Absolutely. Have a great one. Thanks, KJ.
Thanks, Coach Gove. We'll be right back with more Sports Drive after the break.